Identity and literacy, how literacy informs our identity. We define identity literacy as readers' proficiency in the practice of engaging the meaning systems embedded within text, considering while doing so whether to adopt, adapt, or reject these as part of their own personal meaning system. Identity is an instinctual ability to coordinate actions and trace the career of this coordinating through the person's engagement in social life. Self-consciousness and self-reflection develop in the active children as the product of a social history. So why is identity important? Because we are deeply driven by our sense of identity, of who we are. We are in the middle of our individual world, where we place central importance on our sense of individual self. If we feel we belong, if we have self-esteem and esteem from others, and are self-actualized by achieving individual potential, then our needs are satisfied. As humans progress through life, they find themselves in and out of different groups, constantly establishing their self-identity. The labels adults have worn as students and as family and community members, as well as the beliefs passed on either explicitly or implicitly, contribute to the assumptions and powerful images adults carry with them as learners and about the more general processes of learning, reading, and writing. With the development of literacies, readers are able to form their identity or identities. Identities are both multiple and situated, in that people present various ways of being that correspond to particular social situations. So what are figured worlds? Figured worlds are cultural phenomena into which people are recruited or into which people enter, and that develop through the work of their participants and bring about a sense of self in regards to where they fit in that group. Communities of practice are groups of people who share a common interest or passion for something they do and learn how to do it better, intentionally or not. There are certain ideals that these communities of practice feel they must follow that informs the community of practice that these readers find themselves in. It is an inherent human instinct to categorize and group to better understand the world. Identities are essential in order to create new activities, new worlds, and new ways of being. Literacy informs our identity. Being literate is important in establishing where we are in the world. As you can see from this web of literacy, literacy is interconnected in many aspects of our lives. Literacy involves a continuum of learning to enable an individual to achieve his or her goals, to develop his or her knowledge and potential, and to participate fully in the wider society. Literacy shapes who we are and brings us social power. If someone is not literate or feels they are not literate, then their social power suffers. With their lack of literacy skills, those in a lower socioeconomic status are looked down upon and therefore do not want to learn and grasp these concepts, which contributes to the literacy gap between classes and the power they hold due to their lack of literacy. This gap is aided by whether or not literacy as power is ever acquired. If literacy brings about social power, then those in these lower classes have less. Through literacy, people gain the skills they need to decide if the rules are what they want to follow. If they do not, then they dissociate themselves from these groups, most likely finding themselves in a new one. Though at times, if people don't think they are readers, then they lack the social power mentioned earlier, and they cannot navigate these new groups. Ultimately, this contributes to the gap in literacy. If they do not know they are readers, then they have difficulty navigating through the society. Unfortunately, those with less social power feel they cannot rise above their circumstances to become literate. One must also learn to feel literate in order to do literacy. An example, mentioned by Leslie Bartlett of Columbia University, it was revealed how one woman's sense of herself, her intelligence, and her relationships with family and the community shifted radically when a physical disability made her unable to write. Though she was still technically literate, she didn't feel herself to be literate any longer. She had the skills and they didn't disappear, but she could not actively show through reading and writing that she felt she had less social power. This shows how ingrained literacy is in one's identity. That is why it is important to teach that literacy is plural and that there is more to literacy than just reading and writing. Scholars discover that literacy is very much a social practice and encompasses communication, understanding, creation, and much more than just reading and writing. They work together to create the idea of literacy. It also involves a continuum of learning to enable an individual to achieve his or her goals, to develop his or her knowledge and potential, and to participate fully in the wider society. This includes not only writing, but understanding, effectively communicating, participation, self-enhancement, and goal achievement. These concepts help inform the identities established through literacy. Perhaps if literacy was seen as more, then the woman mentioned before may not have suffered such an identity crisis.